how does a man get to being unflinchable in the wholeness of himself?
My path has been multifaceted. And I think one of the things is you have to really test yourself. You have to know what's inside of you when things get hard. I remember I can talk about a couple of these moments that were defining. There's countless amounts of them. One of them was at the tail end of a 4-sit ayahuasca journey with Don Howard down in Peru. And I got really sick. I got picked up a parasite there. I was already there for a week. We were doing Wachuma and then we were moving into ayahuasca. I picked up a parasite and my stomach was like really bothering me. I was getting weaker and weaker by the day. 3 ayahuasca sits, it was more and more challenging and miserable. I'm sweating. I'm curled up in a fetal position and I just don't think I can go on. I didn't really know what was going on with me then. Then the 4th sit comes around and I'm like, I just can't do it. I don't have the strength. I
Mm.
just can't do this anymore. And Don Howard comes around, and before I was able to tell him I can't do it, he just looks at me and he goes, "The warrior's heart beats as one." And I was like, God, oh man, that's the perfect thing you could have said. If the heart beats as one, I got no choice. Like, all right, give me the cup, full cup.
Yeah.
And I remember I was lying there, I was curled down on the ground, and I just started to cry, like soft little tears, like pathetic tears. Not even like sobbing, but just the pathetic tears of somebody who'd given up. And I heard the voice of my grandmother who had passed at that point. And my grandmother was like, "Get up, Aubrey, get up." And I was like, "I can't, Grandma, I can't get up. I can't get up. I'm not strong enough. I can't get up." And my grandma was like, "Get up, Aubrey, get up." And we went back and forth. And finally, it's like, "All right, Grandma, I'll get up." And then I get up and I find this strength within me. And I look outside the doors of the Maloka and I can see all of my true enemies: fear and greed and ignorance and hate. And I see them all archetypally embodied outside of the Maloka. And I say, like, this is why I always have to get up. I get up so that I can stand for what I truly believe in.
Mm,
And in that moment, I realized that I would always get up,
mm,
that no matter how weak I was, no matter how tired I was, I found something out about myself
mm.
that I'll stand up when I really want to give up. Yeah, granted, I got a little help from the divine feminine as channeled through my grandma who said, "Get up, Aubrey," and thank you for that
Yeah.
because I needed that in that point. But I knew that I would get up and I would stand. And so many times that has been repeated so that I trust myself. I
Mm.
trust that I can withstand whatever whipping winds and storms and freezes and whatever comes. I trust myself that the more pressure that's applied, the greater that I'll be when that comes out the other side. And so and then I test that again, like climbing frozen mountains with Wim Hof with no shirt on, where it's just sleet and snow. And actually, I remember seeing Wim Hof. He had ice spikes that didn't fit his shoes. So he had to take his ice spikes off. And he's a 60-some-year-old man scrambling up the mountain, slipping down, clawing his way up. And there was no way he was not going to climb that mountain with his brothers.
Mm.
And like, so you get this idea of like, I'm here, I am here, I am here, I know myself, I trust myself. So when you encounter potentially the intensity of the feminine, you don't wither and you don't go, "Am I going to be okay?" You know you're going to be okay.
Mm,
It's like, all right,
mm,
like here's the storm.
mm,
I can stand, I can be the mountain. I'm the mountain that's going to be here after a million storms.
mm,
So it's rage away, my darling.
mm,
Like rage away, like
mm.
crack the lightning from your clouds and bring the winds and bring the rains and bring the thunder. And I'll be here. I'm the mountain.
Mm.
And like you start to know that about yourself and it builds this solidity. And I think those type of initiations, however they may come, can build an internal strength.
Yeah. And I think that internal strength is the key because a lot of the ways that the masculine gets challenged in default culture is get up because someone else told you to get up.
Hmm.
And that actually, while it can look like a kind of strong masculine on the outside, it can produce exactly as you said, a brittleness on the inside,
Yeah.
right? It's finding like the I get up because I am that powerful because I choose to, right? As opposed to
Mhm.
because society told me I had to get up so
Right.
I could have
So
money
I
or
can be a
success or,
man.
yeah, exactly, or
Mhm.
fight or whatever it is, right? And so that it's a warrior training, but it's a warrior training of spirit and heart and truth.
Yeah.
And I wish more men
Go
had
into
that.
a sweat lodge. Go
Yeah.
into a sweat lodge. Go into a properly run temescal or a nipi. There will be a point that you will be able to watch yourself and you will watch how much courage you have.
Mm.
I was just in one recently that was led by my sister Waira, who's an incredible medicine
Mm.
woman and probably the toughest person I know,
Yeah.
period, and most full of life and love and joy. And she sat me in the buffalo seat right in front of the fire.
Mm.
And I got to watch myself. I was real good for the first 2 rounds, but after the first 2 doors, I got to watch myself start to want to run away and start to want to cling for, go find the water as soon as possible. I got to stretch my legs and then drop back into prayer. And then to my left was a Sundance brother who'd been in many, many, 17 different Sundances, which is a very intense ritual of fasting and dry fasting and sauna and piercing. It's a wild ritual. And I just watched him just stoic as an oak.
Mm.
And it reminded me, like, all right, like, here's another opportunity for me to train myself. It's pitch dark in there. And it's funny because you'll watch yourself. At one point, I made some like exasperated, dramatic thing where I like wiped my head, like, oh, and I'm like, why did you do that? Who are you playing? Who are you playing this character to? Are you trying to show this to your higher self to say, look, I'm really hot, And so you get to observe, and then I come back into my prayer and come back into my center, and so you get to play that. It's like massaging the dough.
Yeah.
Brittleness is the problem. Like you need to be able to massage the dough, and also have brothers who are willing to come at you. Like my best friends, we go at each other.
Mm.
And the best of my best friends, like my brother Aaron, we're at each other constantly. And then the love there for each other and the celebration there is so strong because we're constantly rubbing up and like smashing against each other, finding any vulnerable point. If there's a little vulnerability, we'll keep poking it as if, and with love and playfulness, to be like, oh, this bothers you? Oh, this bothers you? How about I say it 3 more times? How about I say it 5 more times? How about I say it 10 more times in mixed company? You still gonna let that bother you?
I love men.
Yeah, it's like it's part of this. It is part of the masculine way.
Yeah.
And the problem is, very powerful men don't have anybody that'll do that
Yeah.
because they're brittle, they're fat, and somebody says that,
Yeah.
and it's like the tyrannical king.
Yeah.
So having peers and community,
Yes.
also huge in this process. So testing yourself and then having those people you trust that you can kind of bump up against and find all of the soft, vulnerable parts and say, not to hurt you, but to say, here's this thing.
Yeah.
Maybe you should look at that.
One of the most insidious lies that society has been told and men have been told in their relationship to the feminine, right? And in their relationship to what often looks like a woman, but it can be the feminine in any gender, is a powerful woman will cut you down, control you, tell you how to be, hurt you. And so might as well actually pick whatever version for you is a weaker or smaller feminine, right? And what you're articulating and what I've always known that I wish more men knew, I wish more women knew this in themselves, is like the true, like a woman who knows herself as goddess. No one's perfect, right? You're still going to have your all of your humanity, all of your conditioning,
Mhm.
all of your stuff, but you know yourself. You can own the divine feminine in you. It's like to meet her, you have to be the most powerful version of yourself, king, divine masculine. There's an initiation process that we do for each other. So it's actually a path of power for both. It's not a path where one controls the other. It's not a path where one outshines the other. It's like with true divine masculine and feminine, like I want your power as much as I want my own. I want your
Mhm.
heart. I want your truth. I want you to be yourself more than I want you to give me anything that's false. And so the gift of the true divine feminine, right? Same as the gift of the weather, same as the gift of the divine feminine in an ayahuasca ceremony. She's challenging you. She's initiating you.
Mhm.
She's giving you the things that are difficult, but so you can remember the truth and power of what you are.
Mhm.
And to me, that is what a good, true, powerful, integrated woman will do. And we have forgotten that in our society. We've turned her into the witch, or only the witch, only the dominatrix, only the ball buster, right? And we've forgotten what that woman can actually be to a man, and what she can be to a man in sexuality, in sacred union, to his heart. It's one of the most beautiful things that exist. That level of initiation in our society forgot it. So it's like women, what I see are they're trying to make themselves smaller so they can be attractive to a man. And men are like disconnecting themselves because they're afraid of the more powerful woman. And it's like we forget together and we remember together. Because when I was like, what kind of man could fuck a goddess? And I was like, truly only a man who knows he's God.
Mhm.